Welcome to Lesson 3 in Blaze New Trails. Again, I'm Holly and welcome to the Giles Frontier. Now, Lesson 2, Nature Study, fits perfectly in what we've already done in Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, we went over all the places you can visit, the parks, the nature sites, the museums, community events. And then we've also built that structure of your master calendar and placed them on there for the year. Now, Nature Study is going to come in and show you what to do and learn in those places that you visit. Today, we're also going to talk about how your family can become naturalists in your own backyard. Lastly, we're going to take a look at the lesson planner in the back of the book. So stay tuned. Poetry is present throughout every chapter in Blaze New Trails, and Chapter 2 is no exception. We start the chapter with 2 ready-to-go activities that are going to get your children out learning the art of observation. Now, observation and patience are 2 key ingredients to learn over time for successful nature study. A Walk in the Grass, which is on page 42, and then Wildflower Watch, which is on page 45, are 2 lessons that are wonderful for all ages of children. They can work together at their own level. So there's going to be something here for everyone. Now, these particular lessons are lessons that you can do over and over. You might just do it once in the year, but you can revisit it year after year, and even at different age levels. And the reason is, with these results, you'll never have the same results twice. And that's our theory in Blaze New Trails, is the same activity can be done over and over with different results, the way we set that up. Now, to me, nature study is not something that I want you to check off in your list of to-dos in your day. I want you to understand that it can be blended into your daily activities, and once you see that, it can become part of your routine. Now, nature study should really be, in my opinion, what your children experience in their own life. What do they see out the back window? What do they discover on a nature walk? I really feel like it shouldn't be contrived lessons that children have to come up with an arbitrary something in nature between the hours of 10 and 11 on Wednesdays. Now, I also wrote a whole article on that, and you're welcome to read more information on the subject in the link that I've left you in the notes. Now, capturing curiosity should really be your goal with nature study at home. This is, finding things as time goes by, looking at seasons and what's happening in the world that you live in. What bugs are you seeing outside? What birds? What creatures are coming? What season is it? And learning what's going on in your area is a great place to start for lessons. Now, we have a ton of scavenger hunts and activities all through Blaze New Trails to help you with that. Scavenger hunts are a great thing for children because it gives them something to work from and things for them to find. So again, they're working on their observation and their patience sometimes, and they're looking. For this really helps their eyesight to focus in on one thing, looking for something small in a big area. This is really great for young children to help them in focusing. Because oftentimes when you're just looking at a screen, it's not helping children's eyesight develop properly. They really need to be able to look off and come back in to smaller things. So looking up into trees, looking for birds is helping them really focus in with their eyesight, and then coming back to what they're doing at the table. That's really going to help them in that process. Whether they're younger or older, it helps them figure that out. Now, also in Chapter 2, we have a whole list of suggestions on what to do in nature, so you don't have to do it yourself. They're all right here. Pick what's going on or something of interest and do that. Now, one thing I want to tell you is that this is a great opportunity to get your feet wet by doing a class somewhere, like we talked about in Chapter 1. Finding a class at a local nature preserve, at a park, or something like that is going to take the pressure off of you in coming up with the lesson. The great thing about that is that you get to enjoy it right alongside your children without having to worry about if you have all your stuff together, which I never want you to worry about. Doing this over time is going to give you confidence, especially if you're a little bit hesitant about exploring nature on your own. A couple ways that you can find out about those classes, as we talked about, you might already know some of them by doing your spreadsheets for the different places that you looked up. Also, your local paper. Now, a lot of you might not do your local paper. I don't, but my mom always sends these over, and I'm sure this is online as well. This is an extra that's in our local paper for my county, and it lists all the different happenings that are going on for the next month. So I can take a look at this. There might be something I'm interested in, something I want to sign up for. It lists a lot of public places and private places as well. It'll tell you if there's a fee or not. Now, I'll tell you that a lot of our county places are free. They offer fabulous events, absolutely free. This one has it listed by indoor events and outdoor as well. So depending on the weather, you can make your choice. Let's see, a couple things I wanted to share with you. Like here we have an environmental center that will take you on outdoor strolls into their scrub habitat. They usually have a biologist on hand to answer your questions, which is fabulous because then you don't have to prepare anything in advance. Another thing is here, we live in Florida, the sea turtles, they have sea turtle watch programs that are for free. You have to sign up for them because they only take a certain number of people. But can you imagine going to get to watch sea turtles lay their eggs? And sometimes that's in the middle of the night, but that's okay. It's a fabulous event. And the last thing is our county owns a lot of conservation lands. So that's a different department than Parks and Recreations. And so you might want to check on that. It's called conservation lands. A lot of states are doing that. Those are not properties that you can just drive on in and go have a day. Some of them are by a permit only that you can apply to get a permit, which is very easy to do. And oftentimes they'll have classes where they take you into those areas and show you what's going on. So just for example, ours, sometimes they have one out in one of those conservation lands with a swamp buggy. When do you get to ride a swamp buggy? And it's for free. Usually they'll have a biologist or somebody who knows something about the flora and fauna so that you can go with them, experience it with your kids, and that's going to spark their curiosity. So that's another thing that you can do as well. Another tip I wanted to share with you is our state has state park passports. Our county doesn't do it, but I know there's national park ones and most states will. It's just a fun way to get a little bit more involved in your state parks. Our parks are broken down by the state, by region. So there's obviously a quick listing of what all the parks are in our state and in the area that we live. And what it is you can go to the park and that park will have a stamp that they can stamp in your pad for you that has that park's name on it. So younger kids really love this because they want to fill their book full of stamps. There's a little spot to take notes. And the parks that we've done, I do jot down a few little notes in here of why we were there and who was with us. And it's a great reminder to thumb through. I have two, one for each child, so that when they're grown, if they want it, they have a record of all the state parks that they've gone to. So this might be something really easy for you to keep track of, keep your notes in all at one time. You could do it as a family or individually with your children as you want to. Now, next up, we are going to talk about wildlife habitats. Another idea that you can do as a family that kind of provides everything for you is the National Wildlife Federation's Garden for Life program. It's super easy, super fun. Anyone can do it, whether you have a tiny patch of grass in your backyard or you have acres to roam. It doesn't matter. It's a very easy program. What's great about it is you can do it on your schedule in your season, and everyone can participate, all ages. And when you finish the program, you can even order a certificate from the Wildlife Foundation, which is really cool. I don't think you can see ours in the back, but we've certified our backyard many years ago as a school project with my oldest son, Grayson. And we're gonna do it again for my younger son as well. It's a great reminder, has great tips, and it's a way to bring wildlife to you, not in massive quantities, of course, but just things that are gonna come to your yard to expose your children to more nature right where they live. Now, we also talk about creating a nature tote, and we have a whole page on that here in our Blaze New Trails. We talk about why that's important. And it's not something, I'm going to show you a video. The video is below underneath the notes on creating your own nature tote. And the reason why we have you do that is we don't want you to fill it up right away. We want it to be an ongoing process for your family, so it keeps nature study kind of in the forefront of what you do. The most important thing also is keeping it in a place you're going to see it. If it's shoved in a closet, if it's under the bed, it's not going to go with you. I keep mine at the front door because that's the door that we use all the time, so I can grab it and go, and it always has basic supplies. If you don't have basic supplies when you're out, you're gonna skip that lesson. You know how it goes, and you're just not gonna do it. But if you have basic supplies, and then every time you're out, you're gonna find something new that you wanna add to your nature tote. I also suggest getting something, just a simple little canvas tote from the craft store. And it's simple, they're very cheap. You could have a nature tote for each child if you wanted to do that. Sometimes younger kids love to do that and have their own supplies. We just have one as a family, but everyone can draw on it or put their handprint or something to create a little bit of a memory that's your family's tote, and it changes as the seasons change. So that's something I really encourage each family doing, is creating their nature tote. Now, I don't care if it's a plastic bag from the grocery store. I just want you to have something that you can keep some basic supplies in, and I'll share more information with you in the video. Creating that nature tote, as I said, is an ongoing process for your family. And in Blaze New Trails, there's going to be 5 more pages of ideas for you to use, activities and hands-on things for you to do. Some of them you can just rip out and keep right in that nature tote if you want to. Our video that's below comes straight from our membership program, the Learning Lifestyle Revival. And that was really created as a natural transition from Blaze New Trails and the Student Companion. What we've done is we've taken all of the lessons in both of the books and we've compiled it into a lesson module format online. And it's really like having your own live class anytime you want, right in your own home. And our real goal is to show families how to use the power of nature and community right where you live. Our last topic for today is the lesson planner. Now, the lesson planner you're going to find in the very back of your book, the last few pages. It starts on page 185. But there's a couple other things I want to share with you really quick as the lawnmower goes in the back. Is a couple of things that we've found we love, and I want to share those with you. I have put the resources in your notes. You can look at them there. But these are laminated guides, and we were gifted a whole ton of these one time. This one is specifically for turtles. We have one specifically for snakes and birds and all those different things. We keep some of these in our nature tote because we have them on hand. They're laminated, so if you drop something on it, spill something, which always happens when you're out, it's no big deal. So I've put a listing there so you can find those. There might be something specific to your area that you really want to keep on hand. And if you had to choose one, I would choose birds, and I would also think about wildflowers or butterflies. I also wanted to share that this chapter is a great time to talk about a flower press. You can use a book. You don't have to have a flower press. Our boys make these, and we do sell these in our store on the Giles Frontier, but you could make them or just use a book. It's no big deal. This is just as simple. This is a pansy. I love to grow those in the winter. We always dry them. We use them for lots of different crafts or making bookmarks as
And I
gifts.
do
want you to know that different kinds of grasses and leaves and ferns always dry really well. So it doesn't matter what your kids bring you, try to dry it. And I've also had questions on, can you laminate them? Yes, I have laminated leaves and ferns and flowers and all those things after they've dried and they've lasted for years. So pressing flowers is a fun activity. We talk about it in Wildflower Watch, which is in this chapter. So consider doing that with your kids. The other thing was the egg carton activity. We've done this for years. It never gets old. You paint a color in one side, you leave the other side blank, and your scavenger hunt is going out and finding something of that color on your scavenger hunt, or whether it's a nature walk down the street. And I always have kids complain that they're not going to find orange in nature, but I haven't had anyone come back with one empty. So this is always, I mean, talk about super inexpensive. We've all got egg cartons. I keep this right in the Nature Tote. It's always available. So those were a couple things I just wanted to share with you before we talk about the lesson planner. Okay, now we're going to get down to the last part of our lesson 3, which is the lesson planner. If you already own Blaze New Trails, you'll find it in the very back of your book. If you have it on hand, go ahead and look through it so we can do this together. If not, you can follow along very simply. What I want you to notice is that it's very easy. It's a very easy planner to look at and to integrate into whatever you're doing. What we did was we took Blaze and the Student Companion and we spread them out over 42 weeks, which is a long time, almost a year. And then we broke down each of the chapters. Because in Blaze, you're not going to do it in order. You're going to do it really in season where you live. You're going to pick and choose those chapters. So you just go to the chapter that's written out for that lesson and work from there. You'll also notice that we have the weekly guide. The weekly guide is specifically for Blaze New Trails, and the daily guide is specifically for the Student Companion. The lesson planner is only found in Blaze New Trails. And the reason is, if you only own one of our products, you're probably going to have Blaze New Trails. This is going to be your parent resource. So we want you to have that lesson planner available to direct your children if they have the Student Companion. Now, looking closely, it's very simple to come alongside whatever you're doing, whether it's a box curriculum or just pulling it together as you go. What I encourage you to do is to make pencil notes. I always encourage writing in the book, because maybe there is a activity that's going to go perfect with a park that you know of, or maybe it's going to fit with the lesson that you saw looking ahead in your curriculum. And also think about when your children have friends over for the afternoon, pick an activity that they can all do together outside. So Blaze can kind of work in all those different directions for you. Now at the end of each lesson, I have provided book lists. Let me find one for you. These are extra book lists on top of what we provide for you in each chapter. In each chapter, there's always a listing of books that we recommend, and I write them from youngest to oldest. So when you look at this, it's the same way. There's a whole bunch of books that we recommend on this subject, from picture books all the way to chapter books for your older children. So that way you can look at this at a glance and pick and choose what you want to read aloud or what you want to assign to your children. And everyone is reading something similar within that same subject, so it's easy for you to pick out. Now, books, I always use the library. I try to use the library as often as I possibly can, and I love thrift stores as well. We have amassed quite a library from thrift stores, although I don't get to them as much as I used to. Now, I utilize the library because you're not going to love every book that you read. You know, what I found is I can have a great friend who loved this one particular book and we read it and we didn't enjoy it that much. And so maybe you don't want to take up that valuable shelf space with your books. So I always encourage you to use the library first, and then if you want to add it as a permanent part of your books, thrift stores and online used booksellers are a great resource to find books that you're looking for, so I recommend that as well. Now, for homework today, I want you to continue working on those spreadsheets, and I want you to think about what your year looks like and how you can look ahead, look at your master calendar, how you can fit the chapters of Blaze into that master calendar. Look at your curriculum choice and what is already planned for you, and how you can fit Blaze in those hands-on activities and experiences with your family. Again, I encourage you to write in the book. I have a lot of families tell me that they write right in the chapter. So let's say they're working on birds. They write notes right in the chapter of where they went, what they saw, places they want to go to, and their experiments. And what happens is the next year when they revisit that same topic, it kind of brings back memories that they experienced, and it gives them a base on how to do it again, or maybe they want to try it a little differently next time. So writing in the book is encouraged and take lots of notes. So as you can see, Blaze New Trails really is a way for you to find the power of nature and community right where you live. Every family, every age. Now, my caveat for today is if you're watching these Blaze New Trails Academy videos and you have children, if your oldest children in your home are under the age of 6, I want you to put away your lesson planner, and I want you to enjoy the natural curiosity that those children have. And if you can get out of the way of your kids learning in nature, you will learn right alongside them, and they will actually guide you into what their interests are. Those are some precious years, and I encourage you just to enjoy them. Reading aloud, being outside, and allowing natural learning to occur is what's most important. Now, you can definitely use Blaze New Trails with those ages, but as a curriculum, I wouldn't use it until kindergarten and above if you're looking for more of a structure. So that's my 2 cents from an experienced homeschool mom today. Now, next up, we are going to talk about butterflies and birds in next week's lesson. And we have a lot to share with you on that, lots of examples, and we might have some for you to look at as well. So thanks for joining me again for lesson 3 of Blaze New Trails Academy.